Okay, hi, my name is Mark. I'm an NLP trainer and I've been working in the field for about 20 years. During that time, I've learned an enormous amount about human potential, human consciousness. I've watched some incredible changes happening with some of my students and some of my clients. Some of them truly spectacular, some of them reasonably matter of fact. But the more that I learn and the more that I see the spectacular moments that happen in people's lives occasionally, the more that drives me forwards, because I've been through the process that I'm expecting my students to go through. I'm still going through the process that I expect my students to go through. I am out of my comfort zone. A famous musician called Miles Davis said, you get nothing done by being comfortable. You should never be comfortable. Comfort leads to someone accepting their lot in life. Comfort leads to someone thinking that they can't change. Comfort leads to someone being on the effect side of the equation rather than at the cause side of the equation. And as you know, basically, when a client presents himself to you, they'll say it in a number of different ways, but basically what they're saying is, I'm at the effect of some cause over which I have no control, which we know is rubbish. But we can't just say that. What we're doing is guiding people across to the other side of the equation, the other side of the equals sign, where they're actually at the cause of the effects, so that they take control of their life, so that they accept that they are at cause for all of the things that are happening in their life. So most seminars on creating the future, which is why we're here today, they talk about ideas and they talk about concepts and they talk about possibilities. But what they don't do is they don't elicit a specific process through which you can achieve those possibilities. And so it remains a philosophical or intellectual kind of exercise at the end of the day. However, there is a specific process for learning how to create your future and how to create change in yourself and in others around you and in society and effectively on the planet as well. If you're just willing to take the leap and to take up the challenge and to commit to the action of manifesting positive change on a moment-to-moment basis. Using all the skills that you have learned in NLP and related fields, you see, decisions are made right now. Right now is the only moment that exists, as I said earlier on. All people quite happy to say that the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist, that this is the moment. But actually this really is the moment. This is it. This is all we have. This is it. This is where decisions are made. This is a really, really important moment in time. So during this session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you to repeatedly return to this present moment. This one, this one, this one. Okay, so the sentences are just spoken, they're all gone. We will never get them back, they're gone. The ones I haven't spoken yet don't exist. So I'll be encouraging you to observe the continuity of consciousness, as it unfolds, and to engage with it, possibly in a very new way. Now, when I consider the unconscious mind, and I consider the fact that there's about 11 million bits per second of processing going on, that's a lot. I mean, I can hardly even conceive of 11 million bits per second. There's 10 million to the eyes, 1 million to the skin, 100,000 each to the nose and to the ears, and about 1,000 to the taste. That's where the 11 million bits per second comes from. But there's only 126 bits per second that we're accessing. So there's a whole filtration system going on, which we all know about. The result of which is that 126 bits are being processed by the brain in any second, and we can access 7 plus or minus 2 things. at any given moment. So it's important to be in control of the self. Remember, the one of the presuppositions of NLP was the law of requisite variety. So the person with the most flexibility controls the system. So I want to be the person with the most flexibility, so that I control the system. I want to be fully present in the moment and to observe without judgment myself and other people. And we'll be doing some work on that as well. According to Deepak Chopra, every thought we have and everything we say and all our feelings, they bathe the neurology with neurotransmitters, and they bathe every cell in the body instantly. Instantly. Every thought bathes the cells in the body instantly with neurotransmitters, and that's really, really important. I mean, there's the mind-body connection for starters. So I'm going to be really careful personally about what I think, and I'm going to train myself to think in ways which, if they're going to bathe the neurology with neurotransmitters, then I'm going to bathe the neurology with neurotransmitters that are useful, which are good, which are increasing wholeness, rather than the opposite. And all thoughts become suggestions to the unconscious mind. This again is really, really important. I had a student once that said to me, is it really important to be switched on all the time? And I said, can you be a little bit more specific? What do you mean by switched on all the time? I mean, when wouldn't you want to be switched on? Presuming that you're switched on. And she said, well, when I'm just walking up the road, I don't need to notice anything then. I'm just walking up the same street that I've always walked up, or, there's nothing to, I don't need to do anything. I could just, drift for a while. And really struck me, because when I'm walking up the street, I'm having this moment. I can only have this moment now, and by the time that I get to 90, 100, 110, 120, however old it is, when when these atoms, these cells decide to not hang out together in an organised structure anymore, and this form is no longer a form. When I get to that point, I want to know that I had every moment. Every moment, it's just, each moment is absolutely important because it's the only one. So to me it was an unusual idea, the idea of switching off. I'll just not experience for a while all the things that I could experience. To me that's just like, it's the opposite of what I'm engaged in. I want to increase my awareness of the continuity of consciousness. And here's a good reason why. If all my thoughts, for starters, they bathe the neurology with neurotransmitters, then I don't want to be releasing things that would make me feel anything other than good. If I can create a state, because remember that states drive physiology, physiology drives states. There's a reciprocal nature between those things, and those things create behaviour. And that's the NLP communication model. So I want to create the best behaviour that I can possibly create. I want to be the best me. Trust the unconscious. Learn to trust it. It's your best friend that you never knew that you had. Really. Be fully present as much as you can. If you find yourself out of the room coming back in, then, and I mean mentally speaking, not physically speaking, but it can include that, then just notice that you had gone, and rather than activating another moment of that by going, well, how did that happen, and then missing the next moment, just notice that it happened and stay present again. And listen in a very active way. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so as you're listening to me right now, you can be listening to the words that I'm speaking. You can understand that I have a lot to say. No, in a way, I'm listening after the words come out of me, so that if I make a mistake, I can change in the moment what I'm saying. And if you listen in the same way to me, in the same way that I'm listening to you, then what will happen is you'll shift to a position inside yourself whereby you are not listening to the words that I say and need to think about them or anything like that, but you're actually experiencing the words. Like, let them pass right through you. Just don't hang on to them at all. Let it just flow through you. And instead of thinking about the words, just let them happen. When you're letting them happen, what you'll probably find is that the words are almost emerging at the moment that you're experiencing them, almost as if you're thinking the thoughts that are coming out of my mouth in the moment that they're actually happening. That would be the ideal way to be experiencing. And that would be the ideal way to listen to each other when we're doing the listening exercises, and that would be the ideal way to talk to each other and everyone else in the world. And to be aware of all the things that are going on in the moment. For real. So that if a shift happens in my neurology which draws me away from the present moment, that I'm aware that there is a shifting away from, and simply come back to. So I lessen the amount of loops that I spin off on before I come back to the present moment. In fact, everything leads back to the present moment, and that's what, when turning your skills on yourself, you take all those NLP skills and you apply them to yourself. You take all the NLP skills and you apply them to one of the skills. That will increase it. And then you take them all and apply them to another of the skills, and that will increase that. And the more that you do that and focus on them individually and learn about them individually, taking language, for example, you could decide that today is presupposition day, and all you're going to do is notice presuppositions everywhere you go. And if you actually manage to maintain yourself through the day, you'll notice presuppositions are everywhere, and just like everything else is, universal quantification is everywhere. The word "it" is everywhere. What do people do with it? So that's the basis of what we're going to be doing, and that's the basis of how I'll be presenting. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun to learn. It'll be really easy to learn. I won't be teaching NLP. I will be referring to NLP. I have to presume that everyone knows about NLP. And it'll just be a lot of fun for everyone to do. So let's make it happen.